If you are a coach or service provider or agency owner who has been using Airtable for a while and it's starting to feel messy, too many views, too much clicking around, your team is struggling where to find things, you are not alone. That is super normal, but do not worry. Airtable has evolved, and I'm going to show you a game-changing way to streamline everything using interfaces. Hey, I'm Ashley. I'm an Airtable expert who helps coaches, service providers, and agency owners organize their client management all inside of Airtable without any overwhelm. From client tracking to team workflows, I really specialize in making Airtable work for you and your team and having one central spot where you can look at everything about your clients in one place. In this video, I'm going to walk through the evolution of Airtable interfaces and show you how to create a one-click client profile inside of interfaces so you and your team can finally stop clicking into a million different spots and find exactly what you need. And if you're ready to go even deeper, my free masterclass breaks down exactly why Airtable is absolutely the best tool for tracking your clients at any scale. So check that out in the link in the description. I will give you a heads up that this is a relatively intermediate Airtable YouTube video. So if you're not already using Airtable and you have no idea what this is and you've never used it for clients before, go ahead and check out the masterclass. But if it's something that you've already been using and you're ready to kind of see some of the new features and really nerd out with me, you're going to love this video. So let me show you some of the evolution of Airtable. So Airtable did not used to have interfaces, and we used to only operate in data. So if you've used Airtable for a long time, you and your team are probably very used to handling things in the data side. So we have, here's our one-on-one calls, for example. You might have a bunch of views that's called today's calls, and you would have a filtered view where date, let's say we're probably start. Call date is today. So you would just have your one-on-one calls would have a bunch of filtered views, your onboarding forms would have a bunch of different views, and you would be managing all of your data on the data side. And that totally worked and was really great for a long time, but now there's an even better way to use Airtable. So if you and your team are used to doing things on the data side and you're finding that things are just a little harder, typically what I find is people that have been using Airtable for years, clients that have been using Airtable for years, and they have a bunch of co-coaches, their team doesn't know what tables are still getting used, what fields are still getting used, what they should update where. And it's a lot of clicking around and trying to find things. And we don't want to do that. And interfaces can really help us streamline that. So that was the first kind of iteration, is that everything is centralized in one spot. We have everybody's onboarding forms, their applications. We have our support tickets, like the feedback reviews that coaches need to give, that you need to give to your clients. And they're all in these different tables, which works great if it's just you and you kind of know where things are going. But if you're scaling and you have co-coaches and all of that, then there's just a better way to use Airtable. So if you've been using Airtable like this, you are in a great spot, and we'll just be able to elevate it using this video. Like I said, interfaces are relatively new. They're a few years old, and I've just been so impressed with all of the different ways that Airtable has been upgrading the interfaces. I really, really recommend that if you are a coach or a service provider or an agency owner that is using Airtable to manage your data, to really only interact with that data inside of interfaces. So interfaces are just a way to visualize your data in a way that makes sense to you and your team. So every piece of data that comes through in interfaces is powered by your Airtable data, but you get to visualize it in a bunch of different ways depending on what you and your team need to see. And I'm going to kind of show you the evolution of our interfaces and some of the things that we've done. But at the end of this, I'm going to show you literally how I would recommend building your one-click client profile from scratch, because this is what we used to do. So this is our template. We're actually updating this template. So by the time that this is live, our new template, if you're like, I love this, I don't want to build it from scratch, I see that you did this in this video, I just want the template, then go to the link in the description. You can literally just buy the template. But you'll see here that we have all these different pages in our interfaces. So we have client profiles, onboarding form, applications, and all of these hold different pieces of data, which is awesome. So we have our client stats dashboard. So this is counting the number of clients in our primary client record table. And so there's 4 clients, there's 4 active, and that's filtered by where the status is active. What's the average number of group calls that they've attended? Now, everybody wants to see very different things when it comes to their programs. A lot of people like to see who's engaged versus who's disengaged. Anything that you want to see, that stuff to make note of, and you can visualize it in your interfaces if you're collecting all the data inside of Airtable. That's why it's so important to centralize all of your data in the back end of Airtable, so you can visualize it in your interfaces. You'll see like this is kind of what we used to do. So we have our general client stats, our offer promise stats. So we track client results inside of Airtable. So who's achieved the offer promise, what's the percentage of that, what's the shortest amount of time it takes, what's the max amount of time it takes, what's the average. This is so helpful for when you are doing marketing or you have somebody with an objection. You can come into your data and really get very granular on what you want to see. So your data helps you tell stories in your marketing. Your data helps you answer objections. There's just so much the data can do, and the data exists, right? But a lot of the time when people have been using Airtable for a long time and they haven't been using interfaces, they're like, I know the data's all in there, but I'm not doing anything with the data. And what stories can I tell with the data, and how can it help me better my program? Because if you only have 50% of people achieving your offer promise, you better be making your program a little bit better so you can get that closer to 75, 100%, right? So that's why we love interfaces, is that you can visualize the data that you've been like diligently collecting. And if you haven't been diligently collecting it, that's what I help you with. It's really helping you make sure that your program and your offers are being tracked through Airtable. All of your data is centralized here. So this is definitely more of an intermediate video. If you don't use Airtable to track your data yet, then you can't build an interface because there's no data inside of Airtable yet. But if you have been using Airtable for a long time, you can literally take the base that you're already currently using and add on an interface like I'm about to show you. You'll see all this makes sense, right? We have these different sections. One-on-one calls, group calls. There's just like a lot of different sections that you can have, which we love. This is like a record review interface page. But what I specifically wanted to show you in this video is I wanted to show you how I'm creating a one-click client profile that has all of these in one central spot, because we want to make it so it's easy for your team. Yes, this is nice to have these all side by side. You can totally do it this way. But we figured out how to use Airtable's dashboard interface to put all of it in one central spot. So I'm literally going to build that live, and I will probably cut myself here and show you what the, spoiler alert, what the finished product is going to look like. So I'll put that here. Okay, future Ashley here, showing you what we built live in this video. So this is our one-click client profile. So you'll see this is one interface page where everything exists. Really, really cool. So you can totally add on to this and customize as you see fit. But you'll see there are these different sections. So we have these tabs, we have this list. So here's our active clients. You can see your graduated clients, who's up for resign in 30 days. You can see all of your clients. And then you can click open and see their micro details. So you can see this is all of this client's like start date and end date, their status, if they have an onboarding form, any client notes you've ever taken on that client, one-on-one calls that they've done, support tickets that they've done, group calls that they've attended. So all of that is centralized in one place. So you're just able to pop this open and see that person's details and add in notes as you would like. So really cool stuff. So you have your clients, your applications, all your client notes, your one-on-one calls, so you can see what's going on. You can take notes right from here. Support ticket and feedback reviews, so you can see if you have any features like that, like what's outstanding, how many tickets did you do this week, this month, and what's the average ticket duration. We show you how to do that. And group calls, so you can see what's upcoming. You can take attendance right here, drop in that call replay. Really robust stuff. Again, adding in your results tracker, any type of feature that you're tracking inside of Airtable, you want to put it in this one-click client profile. So this is what we're building in this video. I wanted to give you that overview before we dive in. All right, let's build this new baby from scratch. So you're going to go to interfaces. If you've never created an interface before, it's up here at the top. You're going to go to pages and click interfaces and create a whole new interface. So I'm going to call it one-click client profiles. So give it a name. Fun fact, if you put an emoji in the front, then you get to use emoji as like the little interface icon. So there's a bunch of different options. We love all of these. They all serve their different purposes. But for this, we're going to pick dashboard. The reason we're picking dashboard is because you can put multiple different tables of data in one interface page, which is really nice. You can also see this on mobile, which is really cool. So you're going to click dashboard and click next. You can start with your primary client record. So basically, I'll walk you through what some of your tables should look like. Everybody, whether you have my template or not, whether you've been using Airtable on your own, you need to have a primary client record. I'm gonna click finish. Let me show you on the data side what that looks like. Your primary client record, bare minimum, that's your central source of truth for your client. So it needs to have, as soon as your client comes in, They need to have one record that has their first name, their last name, their email, their status, and then anything that they do in your program gets linked back to this record. So their onboarding form, their client notes, applications, one-on-one calls, Q&A, all of that gets linked to the primary client record. If you've been using Airtable and you haven't been doing it like this, then you are not using Airtable to its capacity. You're basically using it as a glorified spreadsheet. This linking back to the primary client record is what makes Airtable so special. So that's the first thing we want to do is I want you to have a top level overview of all of your clients. So like we'll just call this clients, and this count, so this is a number field. We're going to say all clients. And that's just counting straight up all the clients. You can have different colors of things. That looks good. I'm going to go ahead and delete this part and delete this. So typically for most of these sections, we just have a number, and then I like to have a list. So I'm going to add a list. And you get to pick what's available here. So I'm going to hide these fields. We just want their name. And then maybe I want to see their end date. That'll be helpful to see. Good. And let's get their status. No status. So all these would be active. So then we're starting to see this nice list. Now, if you wanted to see other things, if you're specifically tracking engagement and you will have like different tabs, anything like that, you can add as many fields as you want to be visible in this little section. So what we want is just a list of all of your clients. And what's cool about these like little groups is that you can have tabs. So I like to add a tab, and I'm going to say this is active clients. And we add a filter to the tab where we filter where status is, right? And then let's say we also want graduated. Filter where status is graduated. So there's no graduated clients in this test one. You can also say up for re-sign in 30 days. And we can say when end date is number of days from now, 30. So there's 30 people up for re-sign. Anything that you want to see at a glance, you can create these little tabs to be able to see that. That's amazing, right? So we want to be able to see that. That alone is just going to give you a high-level overview of what's going on in the program. But what's awesome about this is the macros thing, right? You can set this up to go into user actions and say click into record details. Then you can have these different layouts. So we can open this up. And then we have Ashley's, like all of her details. So I have Ashley's start date, her initial days of access, and her end date right here, her re-signs. Again, all of these are fields that you can adjust. And if you have our template, again, you can just like plug and play this in. But I'm just showing you like all the cool stuff that this thing can do. So we've got status. You can change the size of these things. So I like to make any like thing like big like this. Their onboarding form, if they have one, then you can put that here. And we're going to start to add on to this. You'll start to see, but you get to basically then, instead of going into the data side of Airtable, you just can pop these open and see everything about the client. So that's the first start. That's us creating our client profiles, but let's also see like any client notes that we have, for example. Okay, so let's add a client note section. So you're going to go to add group, and this is a table called client notes, and we're going to add a list. And we like to put everything here that we want to see at a glance. So you go to fields, and we're going to let's hide the name. We'll put the note, the primary client record, if it's connected to a call, the coach, and the date. Again, highly customizable to whatever you want to see. And let's go ahead and sort this. We always like to sort by the date, and we'll do latest to earliest so we can see the last call or the last note. What's cool here too is we can add a filter. So if you want to filter and just see it quickly at a glance, like I just want to see Ashley 1 tests, you can see all of those right there. So I always recommend putting a little filter on each little group just so you can have that filtering capability. So here's all of our client notes sorted by date, but you can have the coach, the group call, the notes, etc. So if we pop this open, we can open the record details and we can see, okay, on 12/05, Ashley said she didn't want to launch in March, and this is the call that she did that on, and Ashley mentioned it. So this is really helpful for when you have a lot of co-coaches and there's a lot of moving pieces, because let's say that Coach Cole in October said, spoke to them on Voxer and they're doing well. People don't care if you grow your group program or your coaching offers as long as they feel taken care of. So if you get multiple co-coaches, but they have to keep repeating themselves because they told this last coach something and you don't have notes on them, that is not a good look and it makes your people mad at you. And we don't want that. So we want to have all of your client notes centralized in one spot. And if you go up into that person's individual client profile, we can see their notes here. So let me just delete this so you can see. So I'm going to add a group. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to link the client notes. So I always like to do a view here just so you can see everything, and we can hide different fields. So this is their individual client profiles. So we don't need their name because we already know who it is, but we'll do that. We'll do the name and the date and the coach. So again, let's sort it by date, latest to earliest. So if you are on a coaching call with Ashley One Test and you're like, cool, I see that you didn't want to launch in March. What's up with that? Or it looks like you were doing well in October and now you don't want to launch in March. Like having these notes here at a glance in one central spot is really going to change the game for you and your co-coaches and your clients. Like just having everything here and being able to track is so huge. So a lot of this is going to get a little repetitive, but I'm just going to build it out anyway so you can follow along. So if you keep track of your one-on-one calls, which we always recommend you do, inside of our Client Hub template, we show you how to automate your calls, whether they're coming from Calendly or Acuity or TidyCal, getting those automatically into Airtable and linking to your client student record. So you always can see what one-on-one calls they've attended as well. So same thing, we're going to add a new group called one-on-one calls. Let's go ahead and add a list. And same thing, we don't really need to see this. So we're just hiding the fields that we don't want to see and adding the fields that are relevant. Of course, I think summary is good. Maybe calendar, let's see. That's actually honestly okay for me, is just the summary. This is everybody. But if I wanted to not see the summary and I wanted to see the call date instead, we can then filter. Let's sort this always. If there's a date field, I like to sort it by latest to earliest. Fantastic. And like we said in the other one, you can add those tabs, right? So we can say today. So we would filter that where call date is today. None today, that's good. This week. Filter where call date is within this calendar week, or past calls, filter where date is before today. So you have this section where you can see, cool, there's no calls today, no problem. Okay, here's the calls that are coming up for the week. Here's all our past calls. It's just all here for you. And like I said, we're going to open up the call details. We'll add that there. So then you can just start to create different pages so you can see the details. So we've built out our clients. We get to see macro client notes, macro one-on-one calls. And truly, if you knew, let's say this sales call, we pop this open and you guys take call notes in here, internal notes, you can add that field. So then your co-coaches or the sales team or whoever can use this one place to start to keep track of everything. So that's what I really want to train y'all to do, is there's one place. I want this one dashboard where everybody can go and navigate. All right, next up, let's do support tickets. So I'm gonna add in support tickets here. So this would be something that, like, let's say the team needs to look at and actually respond to. So what we recommend, if you've never used one of my templates before, is we recommend if you have a support ticketing system or a feedback feature, it's so easy to do inside of Airtable. So you would have a feedback or review form and your clients would fill this out. They would fill out a question category, a summary, a question, like whatever type of feedback that you have inside of your program. If you're a resume coach and you want to do resume reviews, if you're an email coach and you do copy reviews, whatever that looks like, have those be automated inside of Airtable, but then use this interface as a way for your team to be able to fulfill those. So here's our support tickets and feedback review. Again, this was a new group and we picked the support ticket table. I'm gonna hide these. And what I'll do is I'm gonna add this. So we're gonna have the coach is here. the status, answered status, Let's just have one that's going to be, this looks so good. Let me add this status really quick. I'm going to just make sure that this is like blank so we know one is blank. Fantastic. We've got these, and then maybe we bring in category. Again, it's whatever is helpful for the team to see. That's what you put here. Let's, again, sort this by date. And we always want to have a submitted date, created date, anything like that. Looks good. Again, I'm going to use those tabs again. We just click here, and we go to user filters elements, and we can do tabs. And let's do one that says outstanding. And of course, we'll say filter where status is none of answered or archive. So now we see, cool, Coach A has one that they need to answer. Pretty cool, right? We love this. So what I want to see now is you can add numbers and you can add charts. So we can say number of support tickets, right? So there's 1 outstanding. And there's 5 all-time. Outstanding, all tickets. If you wanted to add something, we like to do this too. We'll say this week, because it's helpful to see like how many tickets you're getting. So we can say where the submitted date is within this calendar week, 0. And then there's been this calendar month. Submitted is within this calendar month, so we can start to see those. And here's another cool thing you can do. So I'm going to open this up because when you open up this ticket, your team can actually read all of the question and they can answer here. So we're saying, cool, this looks like here's the answer screenshots, answered status. So they can make this editable. A lot of the fields you can pick to make view only are editable. Of course, their answer, you want to make it editable. If they answer it, then they can send it to the client so they can like automatically have that loops and fill it out. But here's another cool thing that you can do. I'm going to do duration. So we're going to say, I'm going to add a field actually. Time it took to answer ticket. I'm going to say duration field. So that's the field. So I want your team or you to start to say, okay, this ticket took me 10 minutes, right? I'm gonna hit, that's good. That ticket took 10 minutes to answer. What that means that we can do, because this is all the stuff that like, I know y'all want to see it because I'm the same as you. I'm also CEO. I got a team. I want to make sure our systems are tight. And I want to know like, how long is it taking things to get answered? So we'll say average ticket answer duration. What we want to do is filter this. So again, there's so many different things you can do inside of Airtable, and anything that you want to see, it's possible. So we're going to say time, if the time it took to answer the submission is not empty, that's the filter. We're going to do a summary, and we're going to time it took to answer ticket. Let's do the average. So right now it's going to say average 10 because there's only one. There's nothing for this week. There's nothing for this month. And all tickets would still be 10 because that's the average. But you can then just see at a glance, okay, cool. This is looking good. I actually want to see like how's the breakdown of my coaches? Like what's the breakdown of the coaches? So you can add a pie chart and you can do the category. You could totally break it down by category too. That's interesting. Let's say questions. I actually like that, questions by category. And let's add another pie chart. Questions by coach. So we can do by coach, right? So we can see all time. There's most people, 2 people, like 40% are asking question category 1. So you can see this breakdown, right? Coach, so 60% are in a coach A, 20% or 40% are in coach B. So you can start to see all of this data. Again, all of this data lives in Airtable. It's just now we get to visualize it and really see what's going on. Look at how good this is starting to look. So it's all of this is in one central spot. That's the goal. That's what we want to see. Next up, we're going to build group calls. Group calls, I've mentioned this in my trainings for the template, but we really recommend that you also keep track of all your group calls inside of your client hub. And the easiest way to do this is to create a synced table from a Google Calendar, so it brings in all of your Google Calendar details automatically. So all of your Google Calendar events would live and automatically get added into Airtable. It makes it super easy. Again, we're going to add a list. You'll see all of this starts to get really repetitive, but in a nice way. And of course, we're going to add a tab again. So let's do tab is upcoming. Start is not, is on or after today. So you can see here's all like our office hours with Airtable. Ashley, let's do today, where start is today. Nothing today. Where, let's do this week, where start is within this calendar week. Anything you want to see. So we did have a Airtable Get It Done co-working session, and you'll see it's kind of repetitive. So we can hide what we don't need to see. So at the start and the end. So you could see all of this, right? Super cool. If you wanted to add a number to say a number of calls, typically you don't really need to, but this part's cool too. You can open up the group call details and you're like, okay, cool. Here's all the details. I want to make this look a little better. So just do whatever you like. You don't need this all day recurring event creator, like some of the stuff you don't need. So you can just get rid of that. For the location, the description, and attendees, you can literally link this and make it editable. We'll do, so attendance. So we have all of our attendance, like we keep track of our attendance inside of Airtable. So if we want to choose this to link and unlink records, so you can see, cool, Ashley 4 test is on the call, Ashley 1 test is here. So what that's then doing is creating an attendance log for your clients. So you would basically, again, one-click client profile. You've got the calls today, you know, the coach they're going to drop the attendance here. They would drop in the call replay once that's done. So the replay is right there. It's all centralized. And then, like I said, we can start to add those like details into the client profile. So let me go up to our client profile and I'm going to open this up. So we have our client notes. Let's also add in what we're just talking about, group calls. Cool. And I always like to make this a view so we can see here are all of the calls that client has attended because we're keeping track of it. So because we're linking them, it's really easy to visualize it in their profile. So we can see here's all the client notes, here's all the group calls, here's all the support tickets. Let me add support tickets too. So we've got support. And again, make this a view. So here's all of her stuff. I'm going to hide that field. Let me do category. So we can see, yep, here's all the things that you've ever asked us. So we can open this up and then you just have so much amazing resources and detail here. This is the type of client detail and expectations that I have of you need to be checking your clients this detailed. If you don't, you're going to fall behind because people are going to want to go to programs that are keeping track of them this intensely. And with Airtable, it's truly so easy to do. Like we've got the group calls, you just pop this open, you link them here, you keep it moving. They're automatically getting connected to their support tickets and feedback reviews because it's all housed inside of Airtable. So this level of high touch, once you build this interface, it's not like you're not doing a lot of manual stuff. You're really just reviewing things. So it's really cool. So this is what I want to see for you. And we're going to keep it moving because we're here. So let's also add in results trackers. So how to think about this is like any feature that you have in your program, create like a macro view in this one-click dashboard so you can scroll and see everything. And then you can click in and see the micro details. Same thing. Here's all of our results trackers of anybody that ever is submitted. We always recommend if you have a program, if you have a one-on-one offer, you need to be tracking results and you need to be tracking it in a data-driven way so you can see like what people are doing in your programs, what people are doing in your offers. There is always a way that you can track things, whether you are a money or weight coach, and those are pretty easy to track, or you have something less tangible, like finding love or finding happiness, like all of those things you can absolutely track. We have a lot of resources on how to make your promise measurable. And whatever you're tracking, we just want to make sure that you are actually looking at that data. Same thing. You're going to get tired of me. You're probably 2x speeding me. But we've got, okay, here's the client. This is an example milestone tracker. So we can see, we'll do same thing. I think submitted time, results. So we've got all of this here. So I'm not going to go into this because results tracking is so specific for each person, but same thing. You can open this up and you can see their results details. So you can see all of their details there. So look at how cool this is. So if you've been using Airtable for a long time and you've been thinking about throwing Airtable away because it's been like too messy or too disorganized, you just want to start over, don't start over because you have so much incredible data. You're just not able to view it in a way that's super clear. So when you have something like this, it does become really, really clear. So I love this. Let me just see what else I have to show you. Let's add in applications. Why not? So we'll add in applications. And same thing. Let's add a tab. Tab is, because of course we want to think about what's the flow. So we have to review. So we'd say where status is none of, accepted or rejected. And then we have all applications. Don't need to bring that in. And then how we want to think about it is we want you to be able to open this up and then be able to review it and then accept or reject. So we'll say accept, or like say next steps. So basically you can move this around to be what you want to see. Be like, cool, all that looks good. But their next steps, we have automation notes. So we say status is accepted. Fantastic. So we'll do that, make it editable. Let's see if we have any notes. So we're just adding in the fields, internal notes. It was kind of confusing that it's all up here, but you can make different groups. So next steps. We love to see. Let's title this group client and application details. Show the group title. You can also add descriptions. I'm back to wearing colors. Lots of different things you can do, but we've got the application details, the next steps. So what we're doing is really creating one place for you to go and really be like, this is what I need to see with my clients. So it's super customizable. As you could see, if you have any questions about what you could customize or anything like that, feel free to drop it in the comments below. And like I mentioned, this is all stuff that we just built from scratch here, which you can totally try to do on your own. But if you know that you just want this plug and play, this is literally our Client Hub template. So this is what we have available for you. We have all of these options, like every piece of your group offer or your one-on-one offer, or your agency offer. I've thought of it for you. So you can just buy this template. The link is in the description and you can just set it up. We walk you through how to set it up. And if you join our 12-month consulting container, we have a support ticketing system, Meta, very similar to what we have here. But when you get stuck, you're able to ask us any questions because as you can see, it's such a highly customizable tool. There's going to be so many different things you want to add because your program or your offer is so specific, and Airtable really can help you do that. So this can totally grow with you and it can be built with you and you can customize it as you see fit. So this is truly the best tool for client management by far. We love, love, love this one-click client dashboard that we've created. So we hope this was helpful for you. And if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. You can always reach out to me on Instagram. I'm at Systems Over Stress, and we will see you in the next video. So now you've seen exactly how to set up a one-click client profile in Airtable. If you did it, or if you're working through it, go ahead and drop a comment below. And if you are ready to take this even further, grab my Client Hub template. It is plug and play, so you could totally set it up using this video, or you could just grab the template. It is all set up and ready for you to go. The link is in the description below. And if you want to see how Airtable can absolutely transform your business, whether you're a coach, agency owner, or service provider, go ahead and check out my free masterclass where I break down all of that for you and more. And before you go, let me know in the comments, what is one thing you're super excited to track inside of Airtable? I would love to know. I would love to know if you're setting this up. Don't forget to keep checking out our videos to help you build out your Airtable skills, and we'll see you in the next one.